Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for the segment, we have Bernhard Wenger, Head of Northern Europe at 21 Shares, as well as Christopher Kock, CEO and co-founder of Virtune. They join me to discuss trends in the fast-growing crypto ETPs in Europe, the impact of new regulations, and the hot topic of Bitcoin halving. It is great to have you both with us. Welcome to Trade Talks. Bernhard, let's kick it off with you. Could you give us a brief background of where 21 Shares sits within the crypto space, and especially in regards to crypto ETPs?
Yeah, thank you, Jill, and good morning. At 21 Shares, we see ourselves really as pioneer in the crypto ETF and ETP space. We have now more than 5 years track record issuing European domiciled crypto ETPs. And this was really also the basis that helped us successfully launching our recent spot ETF in the US in collaboration with ARK Investment. Overall, we have $6 billion approximately under management, and really in Europe, having issued the first physically backed ETP back in 2018, really we have now a product range of 40 products that really allows investors to choose between single cryptos and also baskets for diversified investment into the crypto market. And lastly, as a crypto native firm, we not only have the ambition to structure best-in-class investment solutions, but also really act as a kind of knowledge transfer agent. We really have a strong research and really bring education to the market. And this is what we want to show to our investors at the end of the day as well.
And Christopher, you're a successful newcomer in the crypto ETP space. Tell us more about Virtune.
Absolutely. So Virtune was founded approximately 2 years ago in the beginning of 2022, and we are based in Stockholm, Sweden. And our home market is here in the Nordic part of Europe. And we have since our first listing back in May 2023 listed a total of 9 exchange-traded products that are listed on Nasdaq Stockholm under the exchange-traded note framework. And what's been very important for us since day one has been to be a regulated entity where we have gone through a long process with regulators to become a registered financial institution with the Swedish FSA. And we have been working very hard on being as transparent as possible, and especially in educating the market, where we have been working intensively, both towards the retail audience, but also towards institutional investors. And we are still a very small team. We introduced the first crypto index ETP back in May last year, and remain a very dedicated team where one of our board members is also Laurent Cassis, who has a strong track record in the European crypto ETP markets.
Recently, we've seen the crypto ETP market growing substantially in the Nordics. Christopher, can you walk us through why that's the case and explain some of the trends and dynamics behind crypto ETPs in the region of Europe?
Absolutely. So I would say that some of the more global market sentiments has played a big role, of course, especially with the Bitcoin halving that took place now in April, and especially also the approval of the Bitcoin ETFs have given us strong acceptance and recognition to Bitcoin as an asset class. But what I would say regarding the Nordic market is that we are seeing an increased interest for crypto investments, both from the retail side, but also from the institutional side with the asset managers, different financial advisor organizations, etc. And I think what's been very important here in the Nordics is that people are seeking knowledge in the space, and it's a combination about learning both about cryptos and asset class, but also learning how an ETP is actually structured. So I would say that Virtune's efforts that we have been doing, we've been holding approximately 2 events every week with educating the market, and putting our highest priority to investor relations has been an important factor in growing the crypto ETP space here in the Nordics, and also the fact that we have expanded our product portfolio very quickly in the last 11 months.
21 Shares is a major player within crypto trading globally. Bernhard, do you see the same trends in the rest of Europe as in the Nordics? And are there major differences between what's happening in Europe and in the US?
Well, I think there's certain difference in the European markets, and clearly I think that's mostly regulatory driven, because obviously European regulators are in different stages in their crypto journey. It's no coincidence that 21 Shares that we started our own crypto journey in Switzerland, because the regulatory environment here in Switzerland was pretty clear and defined at a very early stage. And the same really accounts for our other listings, for instance, in Germany, but also in particular in the Nordics, where we were the first issuer that issued a physically backed crypto ETP on Nasdaq Nordic. And we are very proud of that and also thankful to the exchange of having that opportunity. And for us, it's great to see that local players are also following and helping establishing the asset class in the Nordics, because it's a tremendous market. And a growing market, as Christopher said already as well. And I think in terms of underlying interest, we see similar patterns in the Nordics as we see in the rest of Europe, really with Bitcoin leading the way, but also smart contract protocols such as Ethereum and Solana are being in demand too. Overall, I think the US situation is somewhat different, as currently there's only the Bitcoin ETF available, or there's the spot ETF available in the US, but these launches really have a global significance, I believe, because it will most likely accelerate crypto adoption around the globe in a significant way. So a lot of positive momentum, and yeah, like I said, the Nordic market is one of our key growth markets going forward.
In the past year, Virtune has been listing a number of crypto-based ETPs in different currencies with good results asset-wise and trading-wise. What are the reasons behind this success, Christopher, and how do you collaborate with partners in creating this success?
Thank you for the question. So I would say there are several factors that have been important for us so far in our journey. One that I mentioned before is to set our high priority to investor relations. And we usually say this internally, that even if it's our client who wants to invest $100 or $10 million, our door is always open to educate and answer questions. I think that's a very important factor where we have worked with high intensity for our soon 1 year in the market. And I would also say that more and more investors, as the crypto market matures and more people and institutions realize that Bitcoin can constitute a natural part of a well-diversified portfolio, more and more investors realize that ETPs is the most seamless way to gain exposure to Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, because then you can store it together with your other securities, with your ETF funds, stocks, etc. And that's usually the seamless way that most investors prefer. So that is also a part that has been very important. And also that we are transparent, that we're working to be as transparent as possible. And we also have a physically backed structure where we have done all efforts available to minimize the credit risk to us as an issuer, which is also important when more and more institutions are looking at investing in crypto. That is where our regulatory role also takes place.
Mm-hmm. And a question for both of you. So we've generally seen favorable SEC ruling for crypto trading in the US. Have you seen any effect in Europe? And are you expecting any impact in terms of crypto ETP trading? Bernhard, you had touched on this earlier, but let's start with your perspective here.
Yeah, I think we've certainly seen an effect on Europe as well after the US spot launches. And going forward, I would also expect a positive effect from a flow perspective on locally domiciled ETPs here in Europe. I mean, the fact that multiple spot ETFs have been approved by the SEC and that the world's largest asset managers have entered the race caught a lot of attention. I mean, we ourselves, together with ARK Investment, we had a really tremendous start of our spot Bitcoin ETF in the US, and the trading and AUM volumes have exceeded expectations. So expecting a significant influence globally. And here in Europe, I think those launches have led to many new European investors looking into crypto, in particular Bitcoin, of course, because of the fact, like I mentioned, that the large asset managers are entering the market. So expecting a positive effect on crypto ETP trading here. And I think it's great for European investors because the ETPs most likely is still the best suited structure for most European investors. And those who can and want now also have the possibility to trade the US domiciled or go the US domiciled route. So a win-win situation, really.
And Christopher, what's your take on this?
Yes, so I certainly agree. And if we would look before the 10th of January and after, we have definitely seen a big difference. I think that when we are out here in the Nordics and having educational presentations, etc., for banks and other players in the financial industry, we're certainly seeing that after the approval of the ETFs, Bitcoin is being recognized as a real asset class for many institutions for the first time. And especially, as Bernhard mentioned, now when we have some of the largest asset managers in the world that has entered the space, that is certainly making a big difference. And what we have also seen now that we expect to see even more is that more and more ETFs, etc., will include Bitcoin on a small part of the portfolio, and we expect to see the same movements here in the Nordics that we have already started seeing. So we have certainly seen, if we look at our ETP offering that is listed on Nasdaq Stockholm, we have seen that the trading volumes have grown substantially for the last couple of months. So that's also, of course, thanks to the support of the Nasdaq framework that enables us to list a broader product offering of ETPs.
And Bernhard, there's been a lot of writing and a lot of media about the Bitcoin halving. Walk us through what the Bitcoin halving is.
Of course, the Bitcoin halving took place early in April. It was really one of the most anticipated, if not the most anticipated events in crypto in 2024. At the end of the day, it occurs every 4 years. And in essence, it halves the block reward a miner gets when confirming a transaction. And that means that the amount of Bitcoin that is newly created and paid out every 10 minutes on average is really divided by 2. That has a deflationary effect, usually leads to significant price increase during the months following the halving, not necessarily immediately, but at the end of the day, it makes Bitcoin a more scarcer underlying, right? And I think from a performance perspective, currently in the current market, we believe the halving alone might have limited price effect, but the combination of halving, the potential interest rate cuts by the Fed and other central banks, and the continuous flows into ETFs should lead to really a positive price development of Bitcoin, and ultimately also has an effect on altcoins and crypto indices performance-wise.
And Christopher, what does Bitcoin halving mean for the market in general and investors in particular?
Yes, I would say, just as Bernhard also mentioned, so currently we have approximately 19.7 million Bitcoins in circulation. And in the Bitcoin protocol, it is stated that there will never exist more than 21 million Bitcoin. And this is the 4th halving taking place. And what we have seen at the previous halvings taking place in 2012, 16, and 2020, we have seen a strong price increase after these halvings. That's why we call it the halving cycles. So historically, it has been volatile around the halving event, which we have seen this time also. But if we look at the 150 days after the previous halving events, we have always seen a price increase for Bitcoin. So certainly also this time with the 4th halving taking place, combined with the flows we see in the ETFs in the US and perhaps now also in Hong Kong, makes this a very bullish sentiment. And as Bernhard also mentioned, a very anticipated event for the crypto market in its whole.
And finally, Bernhard, how do you see the role of crypto in an investment portfolio?
I think that's a really relevant question, because we have many clients and prospects out there who very much understand the importance of the new technology and also the revolution it already has and will have even more going forward on virtually all business model in existence. But often the bridge towards why should I invest into Bitcoin or crypto in general needs to be made. And our analysis shows that, for instance, if one adds 5% Bitcoin via an ETF or an ETP to a classic 60-40 portfolio, the Sharpe ratio, meaning the risk return profile, really grows significantly. But it's really important also to rebalance the portfolio regularly, not to increase the overall volatility too high of the portfolio. So to summarize, crypto should play a role and plays a role in a well-structured portfolio, but it's important to understand the asset class, understand the dynamics, and really, I only can invite everybody to engage with financial advisors, with product issuers such as 21 Shares, look into ways to take advantage from that in a professional way and really add value to the investment portfolio at the end of the day.
Okay, Bernhard, Christopher, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.